Yeah, he was about to murder his wife. He did murder his wife. He pushed her down the stairs.
Yeah. But she had already slipped. So
he could have helped her.
He could have done a lot of things.
So
a lot of people can do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? You know, people fall down the stairs all the time. You're on Midnight Local, the podcast from How to Drink, where we just talk about things.
Movies.
Pop culture.
Maybe some video games.
That too. All the things.
The stuff and things.
All of the stuff and the things on Midnight Local.
Let's get to it. Hi, welcome back. This is Midnight Local with Meredith and Greg. And today, what are we talking about?
1992 film that I've seen quite a few times called Death Becomes Her.
Love this movie.
Me too. I really like this movie.
I had a reverse of the typical, like, you watch a movie as a kid and it doesn't hold up. I have the reverse of that with this movie. I remember watching as a kid and it just kind of went over my head and so sad and depressing to me. And as an adult, I love this movie.
As a kid, I loved it immediately. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't get some of the jokes, but but on the whole, like, I thought that the whole macabre comedy of it was fantastic.
I think I watched a lot of movies in the 90s and thought, is this what adult women are? And got really sad. So,
some people think too much, Meredith. That's you.
So this movie's rated R with an hour and 44-minute runtime. If you're noticing a theme on Midnight Local, it is that we rarely watch movies over 2 hours. It will happen. I think we're touching on a lot of movies we really like early on, and it just so happens we are fans of stuff that falls in that tight hour and a half to 2 hour time slot.
I'll tell you what, a lot of my favorite movies are pre-code movies. And a lot of those are like 3 reels, like they're 60 minutes or thereabouts.
So this one had a budget of $55 million, probably mostly to the actors, I would imagine. Not mostly, that's a little bit, but
this movie had groundbreaking special effects in it, but go on.
That's true. It did, and we'll get to that. And it grossed 58 domestically and 149 plus million worldwide. Director Robert Zemeckis, which people don't know his work. You do. You just don't know you do, because he directed Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Contact, Castaway. Just a ridiculous amount of stuff.
The Big Z, man.
Yeah.
He's like the hit machine.
And then, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one I've been wanting to revisit for a long time. And it's
so good. We should do it.
Yeah, I absolutely want to do it.
In my brain, there's like a triptych, or are there 4 of them? Movies that to me all came around the same time. Disney movies that I'm pretty sure I saw them all in the theater with my grandmother. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Rocketeer. And is there like a 4th one in that set that I include? I always try to remember. So I think I saw Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Who Framed Roger Rabbit as a double feature. Like, I think it was both movies together.
Incredible. Yeah. And so very notable leads in this movie. It's really a 3-person cast with a 4th sort of honorable mention, but you got Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, and then Isabella Rossellini has her famous it's not really a cameo, it's a part in the movie.
Isabella Rossellini. One of the hot babes of my youth.
Just amazing, because she was 39 years old when that scene was shot.
She had the potion.
She did, but like, what gives me hope is that potion was like the ideal moment of beauty, right? You bring her down, and their ideal was 39 years old, because the actress was that age. She wasn't younger. Didn't make her younger than 39.
No, I think that, well, first of all, it's going to be, it clicks differently for everybody, but 39 is a pretty good spot to stay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But like nowadays, I feel like she would be 19. You know?
This is probably very male of me, but when I look at older pictures of myself, still, this is going to switch yet at some point, I'm sure, but like it hasn't yet. And I think I could do like another couple decades of this. I look at older pictures of myself and say, God, I was ugly back then. Thank God I look like I do now.
That's funny.
I am so much more attractive than I used to be. Jesus Christ. You look at that guy.
I definitely have a perfect moment that I always am trying to get back to, but I wasn't like super young. It was like my late 20s, early 30s.
Gotcha. I think the same thing about my wife too. I look at pictures of her when she's younger, and I'm like, whew, man, can't believe I fell in love with that. I mean, look at her now. Now it makes sense. That's a joke. That's not true at all.
It's fantastic. It's great. Just a fine wine. That one getting better.
I'm not going to let her listen to this one, but I mean, I genuinely do think we both look better now than we did when we were young. I look like a dork. Like, I don't understand why women dated me.
Yeah, I tend to find people more attractive as they get older. A big joke amongst our group of friends is that like I just have the biggest crush on Jane Fonda. Any decade, doesn't matter. Still. I love Jane Fonda.
Make it happen.
Just gets better with age. Every decade she gets better.
Some people don't.
That's true. Some people don't. I'm like Sarah Paulson, right?
Yeah.
I have the Sarah Paulson bug. But of course, my wife is 6 years younger than me. So
wait, the Sarah Paulson bug. I don't get that. That's not a joke, I guess.
She's dating Holland. What's her first name?
Tom Holland?
No. She's dating an older female actress. Hold on.
Oh, didn't know she was gay.
Holland Taylor. They're adorable.
But you know what? I never thought about it. I never cared that Sarah Paulson might be gay either. So why would I know? Never occurred to me to ask. Like, I wonder if she's gay. I should check out.
Definitely. Always dates older women.
Gotcha.
So anyway, also Meryl Streep is in this movie. For some reason, the age is like she was only 43 when they filmed this. She's only 4 years older than Isabella Rossellini.
Well, one of the things about that is that they needed these ladies to be in a pretty specific spot because they needed to be able to believably age them up and believably age them down a few years. So go on. It's just a thought I had.
That's definitely true. Yeah. Well, and it's also the points in their careers that they're catching them for this movie, but we can get into that in a second. You had Goldie Hawn at 47, and then Bruce Willis is the youngest of all of them. He was only 37 when they made the movie.
I think Goldie is one of those people that they used to bandy about as like one of those ageless people.
Yeah.
Who will not age. You know, it used to be a joke about how old is Goldie Hawn? Wow. And like she doesn't age. It's caught up with her.
But her daughter has a similar quality. So I hear that.
Is Kate Hudson the one who no, I'm thinking of Katherine Heigl, the one who nobody can work with.
Oh no, that's Katherine Heigl.
Yeah,
who at one point was the like highest earning actress in Hollywood, and people just are like, we can't do it.
You know, and I always wonder now though, because like this is awful. But like can't work with her. She's crazy was also kind of like how Weinstein like sandbagged ladies. But also some of them are crazy.
Yeah, but you'd be driven pretty mad by the things absolutely. A lot of these women had to go through.
No question. Yeah, it might be just a little self-fulfilling. But people always talk about like how ageless Paul Rudd is. What's his secret? And like one, he's aged a lot. Okay, if you look at him young and now, he's aged. His secret is, by the way, cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
That's his secret. Money and surgery.
Yes. And a pretty stress-free life in a lot of ways.
Probably doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. Having someone to take care of all the little things for you. I mean, money helps. Money helps you stay young.
It's also like one of the clearest determiners of like life expectancy, right? Like, so not only does it keep you young, but it keeps you young, like physically, healthfully. Yeah. Anyway, this movie's all about aging.
Yeah, well, it's about aging and wealth and all of these things. So
this feels like a movie that drag queens could have performed.
Oh yeah, like
Tu Wong Fu.
Thanks for everything. That's what I'm trying to think.
I mean like more like a sketch on Drag Race, because like, or on a stage in Key West or something at the La Di Da. I mean, in that, like, the premise of the show is two catty bitches just tearing at each other. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's in that space.
And the body humor, it does. It very much feels like a sketch on Drag Race. That's a good.
Oh, shit.
Good call out.
No, it's not his style. Yeah, never mind. I was for a second there, I was like, damn it, forget Zemeckis. What's the John Waters version of this movie? Yeah. But I was like, no, it wouldn't be his move to make this movie, actually.
So the tagline.
Get it in there. What's the tagline?
In one small bottle, the fountain of youth. the secret of eternal life, the power of an ancient potion. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, first off, in the movie, there's no cases of it not working. It works. It does exactly what it says it's going to do.
It does, yeah. But I think the point is that they still become decrepit, just in a different way.
Yeah, that's true. So I got some issues with this movie.
Okay.
But I do generally love it. Let's set it up. You want to set us up with the plot, or shall I?
I'll start with the beginning, and then I'm sure we'll switch off.
I will tag team it.
Well, I actually don't remember now as that I say that. For me, the opening sequence of this movie is them going to see the play.
It is.
It is. Okay.
That's the beginning of the movie.
And Goldie Hawn's character is setting up that this is her friend, but they're kind of frenemies.
Yep.
I don't think that word existed before reality television, but they are definition of frenemies.
Oh, yeah.
And this friend in the play has stolen many a boyfriend from her and other friends past. So she's sort of warning. Yeah, right. She's warning her fiance. I think he is her fiance at the time, Ernest, not to fall in love with this woman. And you see him get engrossed with her in this play. As the play goes on, he is just starstruck. Meanwhile, everybody else in the audience is getting up and walking out in the middle of musical numbers. They absolutely hate it.
The shot of him just jumping up and giving a standing ovation.
Exactly.
Bruce Willis does not get enough credit as a comedic actor. He is the humor in this movie.
He started as a comedic actor and then Die Hard and then became an action star. But
that's right. But that's so much of that is comedy too.
I always find the best dramatic actors were comedians first.
Absolutely. Because life is comedy and
exactly.
Comedians have an understanding of life. But I just mean that I wouldn't call Die Hard a drama. It's an action movie, right? Right. But so much of what makes a good action movie work is comedic timing. The timing that makes this beat work, that instinct is the same as what as a comic has and stuff like that.
Well, and his ability to go from John McClane to Ernest Menville is just, he couldn't be more of a sad sack, pathetic dude in this movie.
I love him.
I mean, he even looks less handsome. And it's not all makeup. It's just his demeanor.
It's amazing what body work can do. The way you carry yourself. I'm trying to remember. There's I think that people are thinking I'm thinking of The Usual Suspects, but it's not. There's another movie I'm thinking of where an actor just does an incredible job of making himself small and then drops it in a scene and oh my God. It's people are is that a special effect? No, it was acting. It was incredible.
We talked about this recently and I think watched the scene. Shoot, I can't remember either.
I don't know. Yeah.
We'll put it up somewhere. We'll post it somewhere if we remember.
It's such a hell of a beat.
Also, we looked this up before we started recording, but the musical that she's doing is based off of Tennessee Williams' Sweet Bird of Youth, which is it sounds like the equivalent of making Death of a Salesman into a musical. It's just a depressing story that so the people walking out just it didn't work for them.
Yeah, Sweet Bird of Youth. He's the only person who likes it.
But then we get another of the three. It tells the story in 3 shots. They take us from I have absolutely no interest in Madeline Ashton. Then you cut immediately to their wedding.
Yes.
And then you cut to Goldie Hawn
with the cats.
As a cat lady.
Yeah, she's put on about 250 pounds. She's living in sweatpants. She's eating the cat food.
Yes, and obsessively watching all of Madeline's movies, and particularly the scenes in which she's killed.
Yes. Most of them, isn't it a lot of is it movies or is it a lot of soap operas? Wasn't she kind of a soap star who was trying to transcend?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember. It was either that or very cheesy.
Yeah, bad
romance movies. Yeah.
I don't know what she does to have this happen, but she gets committed. She gets picked up and thrown into an asylum.
Yeah, you just kind of see them come in, if I remember, and they drag her out of her house.
Their landlord was with them complaining about the smell. That's what it was. Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't think that Stinky, they can't commit you for that anymore. They can't.
Yeah. And she wears then her entire group at the institution because
they hate her. Yeah.
She cannot let go of this. She can't.
All she talks about is
obsessed.
Madeline.
All she thinks about, all she talks about, it's everything.
And finally resolves to kill Madeline.
That's right. And so meanwhile, do you remember what's happening with Madeline and Ernest? That's the part I don't remember very well.
He's an alcoholic and she is, well, no, I think at this point, we don't know where we are in their timeline because time passes. Because think about it, right? Like she has to get out of that asylum. She doesn't go straight to killing Madeline. She has to go get the potion first somehow.
Right.
So we know something happens there. And she has to finish the book. When we next see Ernest and Madeline, they're going to Helen's book release, her party. And Madeline is expecting Helen to be, as she remembered her, a schlub.
Yeah, she's heard that she's let herself go over the years a little bit.
Yes, and she's like gloating. She's thrilled. She can't wait to go to this party to see what her old friend looks like. And then they have to leave. They have to leave right now.
And also Bruce Willis, you're right. He was a plastic surgeon.
Yes, top plastic surgeon.
Now he's like a veterinarian, and
no, he's a mortician.
Oh, he's a mortician. That's right.
He was the top plastic surgeon in LA. He's a huge deal. And that's big part of Madeline staying young looking in her mind, and at least, even though some of it's not working, there's limits to what plastic surgery can do, is that she was married to the top plastic surgeon in LA.
That's right. She wakes up like in a full body. She sleeps and wakes up in like a full body cast.
Pretty much. Yeah. Just about a hyperbaric chamber. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
concerned about her youth and her looks and everything like that. I mean, and as people are, right? Like, especially if you work with your face and all, a lot of people are like, oh, they're so vain, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, this is my money. I make a living with this face. Okay?
Well, and we've established she doesn't make very good movies. So it is true. That is just her face. It's not her abilities.
Yeah, exactly. She may not, and maybe not even big movies, like a top plastic surgeon in Hollywood is going to make a fucking boatload of money. We don't know who paid for that house.
Yeah.
True. She might have just been she might be working, but not like she worked so hard she could put it all away and live off of it. Anyway, he's a drunk, so he can't operate anymore. Presumably, I think it's kind of implied that he carved some people up irreparably with his shaking hands.
Yikes.
And now he's a mortician, and he does incredible work with corpses. What was it? They go find the guy who died in the hot tub with his mistress, and he had to do something about his face because it was undignified, and his corpse was just like...
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah!
That's right. That's right. And afterwards, his wife is like, you brought back my Harry, or whatever his name is.
And he describes the most grisly, gruesome details. He's like, not a lot of people appreciate my work. I had to cut all the bones here and restructure him that way. And how do you make him look so lifelike? Spray paint, Krylon.
Spray paint. That's right.
Dead skin. It can't absorb standard cosmetics. You need something with a greater pigment that really will cake on the surface. I use spray paint. And everybody's just horrified to find out
get
that.
This guy
and he's like
here.
chugging whiskey while he explains this to people. He is. And they did his hair. I don't know what level of hair loss Bruce Willis actually was experiencing at this point, but like the transfer, I think he was pretty balding. I think he was.
I think so too, because he's got, I can't remember the first Die Hard.
In like the 70s, he's wearing a crazy wig when Madeline and Helen are at Songbird.
Right. When they first meet him.
He's got like a huge, ridiculous wig. And I almost think that like that's part of the comedy of this. But Die Hard, he's thinning. He's about where I'm at, what you call stage 2 male pattern baldness.
I think Bruce Willis was far balder than you.
Yeah, the technology's come a long way. I left a message with such a technologist this morning. I work with my face, Meredith.
I know.
You shake your head in disapproval.
I'm not shaking my head. It's not disapproval at all. I understand that this is a
These
real
are male
thing.
beauty standards.
Yes, and it is a male beauty standard.
My wife wants me to go get it done. Fix the hair. Get the hair. It's tough. It's tough to be a guy. It's really tough to be a straight white man in America.
Just tell me all about it, Ben Folds.
Why is Ben Folds like? Is he another
That's
one of
his
these?
song. Y'all don't know what it's like being male, middle class, and white.
Oh, okay. I don't know his songs that well, I guess. I thought maybe he was like, a Dilbert creator guy now, where he's just like, no, really.
Oh, no, he's not. But he does have a song about that.
So immediately now, Dr. Ernest Melville sees his old flame, Helen Sharp. She is smoking hot. And he's like, I'm off the Madeline train. I want to get back together with Helen.
Yep.
Works out great for Helen because her plan is to steal him back and then murder Madeline.
Which they have she's got a pretty good plan at first.
Oh yeah.
She's been thinking about it for 10, 15 years. We don't really know how long.
This really kicks off the plot though, because after Madeline sees Helen's condition, she cannot believe how good she looks. And she wants to know what kind of work she had done, how it was pulled off. She goes back to her spa and she's told like, there's only so much that science can do. Like there's just, you're there. That's where you're at. I can't fix it. Apoplectic. He finally gives her a number.
Right. But she thinks it's voodoo. She doesn't have any interest in it. She doesn't want to go chase it down. I mean, she's pretty negative about anything. Nothing's
sour.
Fixable. Everything's terrible.
Sour.
Yeah, she's incredibly sour.
I do want to point out too, is that like, so this is one of my issues with this movie. So I think this is a good place to drop this bombshell. So this movie works on the premise of like, let me get the popcorn and watch these two ladies chew the scenery and go at it. Right. And for that to work, they both need to be equally vile and culpable. You can't have a good guy in that scenario, right? Like they need to, it's fun if they're both pieces of shit, because then you can take delight in both of them being horrible pieces of shit to each other, right?
Who's not a piece of shit?
Well, let me break it down for you.
Please.
Madeline intentionally goes out of her way, by her own admission, to steal all of Helen's boyfriends just to fuck with her. Helen had a mental breakdown.
No.
That's the difference between these two characters. Helen was sick.
No.
She was in an asylum for mental health issues.
Eventually, yes. But there's a long history. Look, if you aren't in it purely to have a power battle with this other woman in your life, after she steals your first boyfriend, your friendship is over. You're not taking your next fiance to come meet her. You're not going to her shows.
God, maybe
this
that was
is
her
a
kink.
thing that they are both in on together. It's a toxic friendship that they both keep going because the point has nothing to do with him. The point is to win.
It's fine. I can suspend disbelief on that front because it is minor, but it was something that kind of jumped out at me the last time I watched it. I was like, wait a minute here. Helen's not a bad guy. Like she comes to a crazy place where she wants to kill Madeline, but like she came to that place while she was in a mental health, like, she was committed against her will. So she's not well. She's sick.
She's obsessed.
She has an illness.
Yes.
She needs treatment.
But
Madeline is just a bitch.
Madeline is just a bitch. And I will give you that. If you don't have the scene where you see Goldie Hawn institutionalized, which this movie isn't using to say, man, this woman has a real mental health problem. They're using it as a punchline. So if you take that punchline out,
yes,
she is just
not an acceptable punchline anymore either, by the way.
A person who has built her whole life around chasing the success of her friend by parading whatever boyfriend she has in front of him, and then gets all butthurt when that boyfriend again ditches her for the other woman, and never stops doing this, doesn't care about her relationship with them. She keeps bringing them back, keeps doing it. Like, okay. Yeah, I don't feel bad for her. I don't
really feel bad for her because she's a murderer. But
right.
It did just occur to me, we got to do What About Bob?
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah, not for
recently?
years again, but no.
Yeah.
Juliette
Yeah.
Lewis is in that one too, right? She's the
one of
daughter.
the daughters. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching Yellow Jackets. I'd love to watch What About Bob?
Oh, she's in that? Oh, okay.
She's the best part of that show.
She would be.
She's fantastic. I saw her at a Soul Cycle in Manhattan once. Not in the Soul Cycle. I was in the coffee shop across the street.
Okay.
She came into the coffee shop after Soul Cycle.
She was also in Dusk Till Dawn, which is a really, really weird movie that I encourage everybody to see once. It's a very strange film. 2 movies, really, kind of just sandwiched together awkwardly.
Who's in Cape Fear? Is that her? Maybe it's not What About Bob.
I think she's in Cape Fear as well.
Maybe she's not What About Bob. Maybe she's Cape Fear.
I think she might be the daughter. No, maybe not.
Yeah.
Anyway, What About Bob? I loved it. Thought it was so funny when I was a kid. You watch it now, and it is a absolute horror movie. It is so upsetting to watch, and to watch the doctor, Richard Dreyfuss's character's entire reality get destroyed. It's just like, this is, I don't like watching this. This is not, there's no joy here. This is all like, I'm not joking when I said, I don't think I laughed once watching it. I was just like,
I believe that now. Yeah. Looking back on it, that was a horror movie for me. So do you remember the plot? Should we look up the plot to kill Madeline?
She's going to poison. So first off, she rekindles her love with her thing with Ernest, convinces him that the only way to get rid of her is to kill her. She happens to have this poison that is completely undetectable. They're going to poison her and then take her corpse, put it in her car, fill the car with booze, and send it off a cliff, which is kind of out of North by Northwest, actually, in a way. And that's the plan. While they are having that meeting, that brief tryst, Madeline winds up at that mansion up in the Hollywood Hills, where she meets Isabella Rossellini. 1992. I was pretty young. Let me tell you something. I was a man discovering myself.
I feel like this moment happens in every movie that we've covered. Let me tell you. I was a young man.
I'm just gonna say that was a kind of hot that I had not seen before, or maybe even since. That necklace look where she's just like wearing necklaces as a top.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where you could be a lot sexier by showing a little less than a little more. I mean, whoa.
I heard someone say, I guess when you live long enough, like clothes just become like, why am I doing this every day? I'm not going to do it anymore.
That's fair. Yeah. But social mores change. Think about Anything Goes. He's talking about the nudist parties right there. 22 or whatever that song came out. So, that she's also got like Siegfried and Roy or whatever, like those romance novel hunks that like follow her around with the Dober.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, the Roaring 20s weren't called the Roaring 20s for nothing. People were pretty wild.
Yeah. I think that there's this idea of like, you grew up with a quaint idea of roaring, like, oh, like they wore short sleeves. Ooh. It's like, no, like wild, crazy Studio 54 for the people who could afford it. 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just unbridled party time.
Yeah. Well, I've told this story before, but like my grandparents were very conservative, and then I caught some videos of their parents at their wedding reception.
Great grandma.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, they were wild. They're like drinking out of bottles. And
where's the cocaine, honey?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring me some more of that headache powder.
This is a woman who, she had the hole put in her tracheotomy and would close it and continue to smoke her cigarettes. Nothing was slowing her down.
You got to do. You got to do what you got to do.
I never met her, but these are stories I've heard.
Yeah, that's something. Tattoos were real popular amongst Victorian ladies as well. They all got tattoos, like the fancy ladies. It was a real popular thing to do. Anyway, Madeline goes, meets up with Isabella Rossellini in her beautiful mansion with her beautiful muscular boys. And that's a reference to The Righteous Gemstones, which is an unbelievably funny show that you all should be watching. And finds out about the potion, and it costs everything. We don't know what it costs, but Rossellini writes down a number on a piece of paper. Madeline scoffs on it and is about to leave, and then comes back and enjoys it and takes it anyway.
Yeah, decides to take it.
Great effect. I love the way the potion looks.
Well, also,
we tried to recreate it on the show.
When they put it on her hand,
oh yeah, that's a great effect too.
That's like the first time they ever did that, like aging. It like ages down her hand.
Yeah, her hand unages in real time. That's really cool.
So this movie won the Oscar for visual effects.
I didn't know that, but I believe you.
Yeah, it beat out Batman Returns and Alien for best visual effects.
Aliens. It wouldn't have been Alien.
Oh, okay. Maybe Aliens.
Or Alien 3. It would have been Alien 3.
Oh, okay.
In 92. Yeah.
Oh.
Alien 3's visual effects leave a little to be desired.
Sure. But I mean, those are movies that rely on visual effects. You don't really think of this movie as that. But I mean, it was ILM did the effects. So
had Terminator 2 come out the same year, it would have lost.
Yeah, certainly. Absolutely. But I think that like something that's really fun about this movie is you have the biggest actors. You got the best visual effects studio all coming together at the height of their fame to just make something completely
unhinged,
silly and unhinged.
Yes.
And it works. It's like, it's what makes it so great.
The other thing about this movie that I love, right? Like from a structural thing, right? The function of this movie is to create a vehicle for these actors to chew the scenery. Mm-hmm. That is the function of the movie. It's like you're saying, it's a high budget visual effects film. That's not the focus. The focus is actually the actors just hamming the shit up. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's the purpose of the movie. It reminds me when I think about Smokey and the Bandit, which is a movie that a lot of people dismiss. It's a phenomenal film. The function of that movie is to create a vehicle to explore the chemistry between Burt Reynolds and why can't I think of her name now? Oh God, I think she just died. I think she's in Steel Magnolias.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about Sally? No, Sally
Field
didn't die. She didn't die.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
I don't.
Good. I thought she did, but Sally Field still alive, going strong. Burt died, but yeah, the function of Smokey and the Bandit really is Burt Reynolds got to drive fast, and Burt Reynolds and Sally Field got a lot of chemistry because I think they were married at the time.
Yeah, but a lot of movies create that vehicle, but don't put all this effort behind just supporting it, right? So it's like you can see through when you just have great actors.
Reference.
What?
Just the see-through thing. That's all.
Yeah.
That's a great line from the movie.
Yeah. So I feel like the fact that every part of this movie, besides just the big name actors and letting them, creating a great place for them to run wild and chew on the scenery, as you're saying, like, but there's follow through on every part of this movie. Yep. They're using the realistic human skin software for the first time. Like they're debuting it in this movie. Like I think that's fantastic.
The way it's shot too, like so much dialogue heavy stuff now, I find it's not shot in a way that lets the actors do the work. Like it's shot in a way that the work is done in the edit, like TV. This movie puts the actors together and it lets them perform, and it shoots. There's a lot of, I mean, Zemeckis is a real director. You know, it just kind of that comes back to that. Like him
too, yeah.
He knows where to put the cameras and do it right. Goes home, Madeline. Ernest backs out. Never really has like the ability to follow through with the plan. They get into a fight, and then he pushes her down the stairs,
which is like the longest it has ever taken anyone ever to fall backwards down a set of stairs.
It's great. It's great.
She's like doing this for like 30 seconds.
I love too. Like she's like begging him to help her. And then just before she goes, Ernest, she gets like so surly about it. Ernest, please help me. Please help me. Please help me. And then he's probably going to until she just like decides like Ernest. And then that's when he pushes her. Yeah,
he does push her. That's what I was curious if he actually gave her a little push or just let her fall.
Tiny push. Little push. She falls downstairs.
Dead on the floor.
Died, gets up.
Well, not yet. Dead on the floor. He frantically goes over to the phone.
Calls Helen.
says, I like is explaining frantically how he fucked it up, but it's good.
Yeah.
He can still make it work or whatever.
It's even better. It's a real accident. You just got to call 911 first. It looks bad if you call me.
Exactly. And she says, don't touch anything. Don't do anything until I get there. I'm coming over. And as she's saying this, you see this body in the background start to rise up off the floor.
Phenomenal framing, everything. I don't think Zemeckis ever got to do a horror movie. But I do think that like he brought a lot of horror sensibilities to this movie and played them for comedy. But like that shot of him on the phone and then the corpse getting up in the background, like you're describing.
Fantastic.
Really
well, now
good.
turns into a body horror movie in a lot of ways at this point.
That's true. Yeah. I never actually thought about that.
I hadn't either until we were talking about that with RoboCop or something the other day. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that applies to Death Becomes Her because it's just gross. A lot of it is gross.
Yeah.
They soon after this, they go to the doctor's office and they're like bending her arm backwards. And this doctor's
take her to the hospital. Yeah.
Right. To the hospital. Yeah. The doctor's just like, I think your wrist is broken. I think your neck is broken. You have no pulse.
Yeah, exactly. It's very Return of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, well, you're room temperature and you have no pulse. What does that mean? Well, it kind of means you're dead. I don't know what it actually means because that can't be right. But it does mean you're dead.
Yeah, I think there's a line in the movie that says it's like the living dead in Beverly Hills, or a critic said that. That's like,
oh yeah. Well, I also love his response. It's a miracle.
Yeah. Right. He's like, you're a miracle, honey. Yes.
Like this from like below with the lightning cracking behind him. It's so good. Where did we take her? To the morgue. She'll be furious.
Yeah.
That's such a good line.
Right.
Are you crazy? It's so good. The doctor dies.
He does.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
No.
It's like background action. Yeah. He goes outside and while he's him and Madeline are trying to leave the office, in the background, he's on the ground having a heart attack. because he's so the shock. Yeah.
He start chugging whiskey out of like the flask that Ernest has with
He does. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Yeah. He's like bringing in all these other doctors to look. It's just the way that when he bends back her wrist all the way to here is just like,
it doesn't hurt when I do that.
Yeah, right. I think your wrist is broken.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably broken.
Fantastic.
Also your neck.
Yeah, also your neck. It's like bulging. At that point, she's got like a big piece of bone bulging out of the side.
It's so gross. Like
it's gross. That's where I feel like it gets into body horror. And then of course, like the next scene takes it even further when they get back to the house and Goldie Hawn comes in.
Yeah.
And it devolves into an all-out brawl where they're smashing each other with shovels, or maybe that's
a problem I have. I hate that part of this fight.
Oh, really? Does the shotgun happen first or after?
Shotgun first, yeah. So, Madeline shoots Helen with a shotgun, and she is blown into like the pool or reflecting pond or whatever.
Yeah, it's there,
which
like,
immediately fills with blood.
Pool.
Great visual, everything about it. And then she does the same thing. She gets up in the background. No, she gets up in the foreground, and we see through the hole in her stomach to Madeline. Now, this is I've talked about this before on the show. There was a show on Discovery Channel when I was in middle school or whatever called Movie Magic, and I was obsessed with this show. I used to watch it. It's like one of the few shows where I was like, I'm not missing Movie Magic this week. And it was just basically DVD special features because we didn't, or Blu-ray DVD special features. We didn't have DVDs yet. We had VHS. There was like every week there was like, how did we make the effects? How did we do this? The making of some movie that had just come out or was coming out. And it was awesome. Oh my God. I loved that show. It was like, we all wanted to be directors, you and me. I mean, so I went to film school. Like that was film school number one, Movie Magic. And there was a whole episode about this. And so, like I've seen like, I can still see like the dress with the blue cutout in the middle of it and everything like that and how they did those scenes. Really good stuff. And it's a commitment, kind of like if you've ever seen, somebody did a YouTube video, really good one. I think it's Every Frame of Painting did it. It's called Hitting the Lamp, and it's about the same guy, Zemeckis, doing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and how there's a scene in it where they bump into a lamp that's hanging overhead, and now the lamp is swinging for the entire scene.
Yeah.
And it makes animating the shadows and everything virtually impossible.
But it makes it so much more real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how like there had been other things where there was humans and cartoons interacting before, but like you always set it up to be as easy to do that as possible. And here was a guy committing to let's do it the hardest possible way, the craziest version of that, and go all the way. The minute you put that hole in her stomach, and you don't immediately cover it up with something, you are committed to having to deal with seeing through this person every single time she's on camera, when the technology for that was really complicated to do. I mean, like crazy complicated.
Well, and if you read in the bloopers, you see all sorts of like, this doesn't line up with this. And it's like,
oh, of course.
But it's still, if you're watching the movie for the first time, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly,
especially for the first time in 1992.
Right. Exactly. Those things about this doesn't line up with that, and that doesn't line up with this. I can't remember any of that jumping out at me, but I'm sure if you watch it frame by frame.
There's one really specific one to do with the shovel fight scene. I think it's what it is they go into silhouette at some point, and I think they lose who's the silhouette, and they accidentally put the hole in Meryl instead of the hole in Goldie while they're in silhouette, based on the choreography of the scene. I think that's the big one that most people caught.
Can't put the hole in the wrong woman.
I would never caught that. I don't catch that stuff unless it's like right in front of my face or I'm looking for it.
They have this great confrontation. You find out that they've both taken the potion. What did it cost you? It cost me everything. I took it years ago. And that's how we know that there is years between this. And also her book came out, right? So like they spar, and then at some point they get into a shovel fight. I don't mind the shovel fight. I hate how we get into the shovel fight.
How do we get into it?
Helen picks up both shovels and throws one to Madeline, saying, "On guard." Now, they're genuinely supposed to be trying to kill each other.
Yeah, but I think, go ahead, finish your thought, and then I have a thought to follow up.
Willingly arming your opponent in that scene pisses me off. And it immediately took me out. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, I wonder if this was even in the script, or if Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn had this idea on set and nobody could stop them.
I think this is the whole point. I think Goldie Hawn doesn't just want to kill her. She wants to beat her.
Yeah, okay, fine. I don't know.
She's trying to best her.
That sounds like apologism. I don't know if anybody else said that. I think that it was just, personally, I think it was an ill-conceived script.
Maybe, but like, one of these, the one doesn't survive without the other. Like, that is the thing with like female relationships that they're making a commentary on here. If you were a healthy person, you would have left this person behind you years ago when they got in the way of your relationships, but you don't. You keep bringing these men with a wandering eye right into her view. Like, she wants to fight with her. That's the whole point. I think if you don't have that, they're not just trying to kill each other. They want, and it's like the rest of the movie sort of plays out that way. They only exist to make each other miserable.
Well, they make up after this whole fight. That's how it concludes. They realize they're getting nowhere. We can't kill each other. As
you do when you're in a toxic relationship. You have these lulls. Oh, everything's fine right now. Like, they go back to, and they have a new target. They turn their sights on Ernest.
Not really, though.
Oh, you're right. Not yet.
What they know, because they realize we're dead, and Ernest does the job of making them look passable. It's starting to sound more and more drag queeny. And then he's like, I'm not going to do anything else for you guys. You guys are dead. Death do part. Until death do us part. You died, and I'm partying. I love that line.
But then they do. That's why they gang up, though, because
they drag him to Isabella Rossellini, because they're like, we're going to be like this forever. We need him to keep putting us together forever. We need to get him to take the potion. That's the whole reason
do they sort of blackmail him and say, like, if you don't do this, then I'll say you murdered me, and Goldie Hawn's like, and I'll back her up.
Oh yeah, they might have said that. Yeah, I kind of,
yeah. So he's stuck, or he'll go to prison.
They drag him up to the house where she's having a party for all of her friends, and it's all famous people who died young.
Yeah,
because that's like her rules.
Yeah,
you get, what was it, 10 years or 20 years, and then you have to disappear.
She's got Elvis Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe, Greta Garbo. Yeah, Jim Morrison and James Dean and Elvis.
Yep.
We're all present.
And probably a bunch I didn't recognize as well.
Sure.
And he thinks about it, and then he rejects it, and then escapes. And there's a big climactic, chase through the mansion and everything like that. I don't really remember exactly how we get to where we get to. He escapes. No, that's it. When he escapes the mansion, he's gone. Mm-hmm. He's slipped away. The girls have lost him. And then that's it. The next beat is his funeral, which is, decades later.
Decades later. He goes on and remarries and has children and
a beautiful life.
A beautiful life, it seems. And there
he becomes an amazing philanthropist. He had like a charity that helped all kinds of people, just like did all these wonderful things. And they're at the funeral sitting in the back, cackling, just being self-absorbed little fucking pieces of shit.
Literally falling apart. Literally falling apart.
Yes, also literally falling apart. The dichotomy there between people who were self-absorbed, becoming these toxic cesspits, and this person who was so giving. He became this very giving person. Yeah, he had a real come to Jesus. Well, I hate saying come to Jesus in this particular sense because people are going to think I literally mean it. But like he did a lot of real soul searching.
I'll say I give that he maybe turned it around, but he's a real piece of shit for most of this movie as well.
Is he?
He plots to murder his wife.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
And before that, he, in an instant almost, leaves his fiance for the first woman who will give him attention.
But just like we're not, I honestly, I'm going to push back on this a little bit in the cinematic universe in the Death Becomes Her cinematic universe. I think that you're right that I am wrong to look too closely at the fact that Helen is mentally ill. I also think that in the context of this movie, you're supposed to look at Ernest as a guy who has zero agency. He is at the mercy and the whim of both the Helen character and Madeline. And that's just like, that's his character. Like his turning point is getting out from under that thumb and becoming his own person.
I guess I struggle with that because women are told a lot. Men have no control over the things that they do to you.
Well, I mean,
you make them do this.
You can bring that to the movie, but I don't think that's what the director was bringing to the movie. I think the director was bringing to the movie exactly like that, you can look at it through a different lens, but you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, I guess maybe if it wasn't told from a male director, you would see some of those things. But to make him this like, oh, poor baby, I'm not giving him victimhood in this movie.
Well, he does. Fine. That's fine. But there is that moment at the Rossellini. Why can't I think of her? Liesel von Ruhmen. She's the Rossellini character. It's a sweet vampire woman. Where he kind of knuckles down and he throws away the booze and he's like, no, this is unnatural. This is vile. And he kind of comes out from this cloud that he's been under.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I will absolutely give him that. But yeah, he was about to murder his wife. He did murder his wife. He pushed her down the stairs.
Yeah. But she had already slipped. So
he could have helped her.
He could have done a lot of things.
So
a lot of people can do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? People fall down the stairs all the time.
I'm glad it worked out for him and he got to go on and have a lovely life.
Well,
sounds
life
about right.
I mean, but I think that the movie makes the point though that he became an absolutely selfless person.
Sure, and he did the opposite of them.
Yeah, and as a result, had the rich and rewarding experience.
Absolutely.
That they could never have access to because they are the opposite of selfless. They are completely filled with avarice.
Yeah, they're self-absorbed and obsessed with each other.
Yes.
And they end up stuck with each other.
These talking corpses.
Right. And they can't be in public. They can't do any of the things that they took this potion to do because their skin is falling off and they get worse and worse, it seems like, as they get.
They're just made of duct tape, glue, and spray paint. They're just constantly spray painting.
Well, and literally at the end, their bodies have they
fall apart. They shatter like glass.
It's what is the next scene?
I thought I was thinking with the two heads spinning on the ground to reveal to camera. I had the exact same thought. I was like, yeah, and then what?
Exactly. Is someone oh shit? The head is still alive. We can't bury
that woman
people.
Fell apart. I just saw that happen. She slipped down the stairs, and I ain't never seen anything like that in my life.
And
I am
is
leaving.
Talking to me.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. The next scene is the Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
show
exactly. Yeah. or The Exorcist. But it's good. There's some really fun trivia along with this movie as well.
Oh, hit me with it.
Some little pieces of movie trivia. One of my favorite is that I guess during filming, Robert Zemeckis kept using the phrase "hold on to your butts" when they started filming, and David Cope,
Okay,
not sure, one of the other writers on this film, also a writer on
Jurassic Park, of course. Yeah.
Jurassic Park, gave that line to Samuel L. Jackson's now one of the most famous movie lines of all time. So I think that's awesome. A great piece of trivia. Also, the characters' three names, Madeline, Ernest, and Helen, can be shortened to Matter in Hell, which is intentional, apparently.
Wow. Wow. That's deep.
Matter in Hell and Hell.
Matter in Hell. So
those are two really ones that I thought were worth mentioning. I love little things like that.
I love probably a couple of it has some great deliveries in it, as I've been quoting throughout here, seared into my brain. My I think maybe my favorite though is Madeline. Ernest, I can see my ass because her head is backwards. My ass.
Well, and she gives such a great performance in this movie, and I guess Meryl was like really down. I think this is probably the first really heavy special effects movie she ever did. And
the process would have been weird. Yeah.
Yeah. For her, it felt like paint by numbers of acting. Yep. She was limited in her movements. She was told you have to just deliver lines probably with minimal motion so that we can do everything we need to do. And she really struggled with it. Obviously, she's gotten over that and done movies with pretty heavy special effects, but
it's amazing what money will do for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood and the whole industry.
Yeah.
10 years after this was very dependent on special effects for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Although I can't think of, I'm trying to think of the most special effects heavy movie that Meryl Streep has done.
I don't know if there's anything that I would think of as being real special effects. She's in Only Murders, apparently, in the building. I didn't realize
she's going to be in season 3. I'm very excited for that.
She's in one episode of this Extrapolations show, so maybe that, actually.
But further back, she's in Angels in America, but all of her parts are makeup.
Cousin Topsy in Mary Poppins Returns.
That'll be special effects heavy.
Into the Woods, she plays a witch.
Yes, that's very special effects heavy, especially her part of it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think she did a lot. I think she did maybe stay away from movies that involved a lot of special effects.
Seems like as much as she can, but I mean, just some of the ones that you just listed are...
She was in AI, so that's... Oh, she's just a voice in AI. Never mind.
Just curious what her Oscars were before this movie. I think I have that written down somewhere. Oh, she had won for Kramer versus Kramer and Sophie's Choice. And then Death Becomes Her. I mean, after doing Sophie's Choice, I think you need to wash that off with a couple of lower stakes movies for a little while.
You know what's funny is she was in She-Devil in 1989, just a couple years before this. And I was thinking it before how this movie does kind of feel like a revisit of She-Devil. I don't know if you ever saw She-Devil.
No, I haven't. Maybe that's why they thought of her for it.
Yeah, I wonder, actually. Who was the director of that, actually? Susan Seidelman. She-Devil is... Here's the synopsis real quick. Ruth is a wife and mother who tries to please her husband, Bob, but finds him pulling away and spending more time at the office than at home. When he begins an affair with a famous romance novelist, Mary, and leaves Ruth to raise their kids, she decides that she's had enough of playing nice, docile housewife, and Ruth endeavors to show Bob and Mary the truth about themselves and each other while creating a new successful life of her own. It's a Roseanne Barr vehicle.
Wow.
it's Roseanne Barr versus Meryl Streep. So
okay.
Meryl Streep is the She-Devil in that. But then also Roseanne Barr, because she does a bunch of as horrible shit to them to get revenge. So
okay. Sounds similar.
Even the romance novelist part of it, right? Although, didn't she write That's right. Helen's book was about how to stay in shape and look young forever. And she had taken the potion.
That's right. That's right.
Super.
That's an amazing grift. I love that.
Well, I'm a vampire, so.
But that's exactly what, like, it's the Suzanne Summers, like, you can look like me. But it's exactly what we were saying in another episode. It's like, no, I can't. I don't have a dedicated team. I'm not taking steroids and with other things.
I need a lot of surgery. Just give me the plastic surgeries.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All the plastic surgeries.
Got anything else to say about this one? I don't. It's a great movie.
I don't either. Yeah. Do you consider it like a Halloween movie? I guess I watched it in October this year, so it's been a little while. But
I think so did we.
Yeah.
I think I did too. I would watch it at Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
there's no other time of year I would say is appropriate.
Mother's Day. My mom and I, First Wives Club was one of our favorites. Goldie Hawn. I know. I wish you could. I mean, the ship has sailed for many reasons, but seeing these three together in something again would have been really cool.
Why has the ship sailed?
Well, because Bruce Willis is not able to act anymore.
Oh, those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
And Goldie Hawn hasn't really done anything in years.
I think she did something recently where she played Kate Hudson's mom, actually. While actually being Kate Hudson's mom.
Yeah, I could see that. And then Meryl just gets better and better with age every year.
Now, Meryl got in some trouble, didn't she? Over Me Too, or am I mistaken?
She should.
And not as much as she deserves?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's of that. I had no idea this was going on, sort of. Or she's just stayed sort of below the fray. But
okay.
Yeah, I struggle with that as well with these.
Goldie hasn't worked since 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. There says there is one upcoming. What is it? No, that's just
And what was she in 2020?
Christmas Chronicles Part 2, where she plays Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, I mean.
Also in Christmas Chronicles Part 1 in 2018.
Okay. Never seen either of those. We'll have to put it on our December list.
I like that me telling you that she was in Part 2 playing Mrs. Claus. Probably a main character. You're like, oh, all right. And then when I followed it up with 2 years earlier, she was in the first one. That was the last time she worked. Oh, so she is working.
When you said Christmas Chronicles Part 2, I, for some reason, was imagining like a Hallmark movie. I wasn't imagining and then I realized, oh no, that's a sequel to some Christmas movie that I haven't seen.
I think it probably is kind of a Hallmark.
But it seems like it had a theatrical release, or it sounds like it did.
Her work got real sparse. She's did some narration, voice work. The last movie that I think you would probably remember her being in came out in 2002 called The Banger Sisters.
Mm-hmm. I remember that, which I grew up on Goldie, so a lot of the movies, those First Wives Club,
we
Out
should
of
watch
Towners, Overboard, House Sitter.
That's a fucked up movie, man.
I haven't seen that probably since I was before high school.
They could just call that movie Rape the Movie.
Oh dear. Maybe we don't want to revisit it then.
Well, I think it's worth, why? I think it's worth looking at it and saying holy shit, this one doesn't hold up.
Yeah, we really do have to hit some that are and if you shit on movies that people like, they're just gonna, they can come for us all they want, I suppose, but.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think we're the first
Correct.
people to open up the can of discourse on that one.
Movies that don't hold up. We'll have a movies that don't hold up month.
The plot of that movie is that she has amnesia, and the guy who was there when it happened convinces her that you are my wife. Come home with me.
Fabulous. Oh God.
Well,
that's the famous Midwestern goodbye. Well,
oh yeah.
When people start saying that mid conversation, it means they want to go. And then also a Midwestern goodbye takes a half hour.
Okay.
Finishing up the chat in the living room. Then you talk by the door for 15 minutes. And they come out to the car. Well, I'll walk you out to your car. You talk there for 10 minutes. It takes forever. Northeast, when people say goodbye, they just bye.
See you later.
I love it.
I think the New Jersey goodbye initiator is, all right.
Okay.
It's our version of well. Okay. All right.
And we've got well,
it's time to get going.
Great. Yeah, exactly. But it has been great. A big thank you to our producer and editor, Annie Villalobos.
Yes, to Studio 71 for distributing this here show for us since we don't know how.
Yeah, and Heather Vaughn, who did the artwork that you see at the beginning of the show. And
Love Heather's
when you
art.
click on us,
Yes,
either over on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts,
get this podcast, stick it in your ears.
stick it right in there. Tell your friends, tell your
Yeah.
parents, tell your loved ones, tell your enemies,
everybody.
tell your
Tell your enemies.
frenemies.
Tell your frenemies.
Tell them all.
Shout it from the rooftops. Use a telegraph to notify the next town over.
Just throw flyers off of rooftops. Like
Establish a pirate radio station. Do whatever it takes to spread the word about Midnight Local.
All right. 10-4.
10-4. Is that how we're going to end episodes? 10-4?
Well, you said establish a radio station. Isn't that the radio sign off?
No. That, as a guy who grew up using a CB radio quite a bit, 10-4
What did I do?
is how you agree with somebody on a CB radio. Okay?
I thought it was
10-4.
like 10-4, 10-4, end of that conversation.
No. I'm gonna stop at a Flying J for lunch, good buddy. You're gonna meet me there? That's a big 10-4. You know, that's 10-4 is like, yeah, me too. Yes,
Got
I
it.
agree.
So what's the sign off?
Sign off, over.
Over and out.
Over and out. No, you just say over.
I have no radio experience.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, I think my family was driving around just sounding like complete idiots my whole childhood.
Oh, they probably were.
We
It's
used
fine.
to use
Why, did you use a CB radio?
Yeah, when I was younger, before there was like car phones and stuff, we caravanned with my grandparents down to Florida a couple of times, and we had radios in the car so we could communicate between each other.
It's fine. It's fine.
So
You do whatever you got to do.
truckers were out there like catching on to our station, being like, "These Midwestern idiots."
It's fine. As long as you weren't riding out on channel 19 and or 6, you know, it doesn't. 6 is for emergencies. 19 is generic. Then you want to link up with somebody, you switch to another channel to have your conversation, so you're not hogging the airwaves on 19. Some places I think they use 24 instead of 19, but around the States mostly 19. Oh yeah, I'm an old CB. I've been around. I always had a CB radio in my car for a while there. We'd go on long road trips. We would go, me and my friends, we drove across the country in 3 days from New York to LA. And we had a CB radio so we could chit chat with the truck drivers because we didn't have cell phones back then. Okie dokie.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The old man Greg signing off. Over.